What is up guys, it's Jack again with another video, and today I want to talk to you about flipping houses versus buy, refurbish, refinance. I'm going to talk to you about why and when you should do one over the other. I hope you guys are doing really well. I have been getting quite a few people asking me about why I flip houses versus doing buy, refurbish, refinance, because at the minute in the property industry, in the property world, there's a lot of people talking about BRR, buy, refurbish, refinance. And it seems to be quite a popular thing at the minute, whereas flips don't seem to be as popular. For anyone who doesn't know the difference, flipping houses, when you buy a house, do it up and then sell it on. Whereas buy, refurbish, refinance is when you buy a house, do it up, and then what you do is you get a mortgage on that house, a buy-to-let mortgage, and then you rent it out. Buy, refurbish, refinance, and rent, sometimes people say. So that's kind of the difference. One is where you hold it, and one is where you sell it. And there's pros and cons to both. Me personally, I'm currently flipping houses and looking to continue to flip houses for a little bit of time at the moment, and there are reasons for that. However, there are pros and cons for both. I think there's a time for flipping houses and there's also a time for doing buy, refurbish, refinance. I'm going to be doing BRR very, very soon, or hopefully in the near future. But it all depends. In my opinion, you should do one or the other depending on what situation you're in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why you should do one over the other and give you the positives for both and why each one is very productive and helpful and beneficial to your business, and that you should adopt depending on your circumstances that you're in. So I'm going to explain the benefits of one over the other. And then I'm also going to talk to you about, depending on your situation, which one you should choose and which one you should go for. So flipping houses over buy, refurbish, refinance. This is why you should flip houses rather than doing BRR, okay? And the first point is this: you get large chunks of cash. Okay, so when you buy a house, you do it up and you sell it, you flip it, you could get yourself a lump sum of, let's say, £20,000. Okay, so let's say you make that £20,000. It would take, okay, I think it's 6 to 7 years to make that back from profit from rental income. Okay, so buy, refurb, refinance. If you pulled all your money out and then you rented the property, to make that same £20,000 profit, you'd have to wait 6 to 7 years. So it's long-term buy, refurb, refinance. Whereas flips, you get the lump sum instantly. You get that cash, that pot of cash, much faster. The second point builds on top of that first point, which is it builds your pot of cash. Okay, so if you're looking to do the deals yourself, if you're looking to put your own money into projects, into deals, you will build up your pot of cash for deals, for developments, or whatever that might be. You can build that up much faster than doing buy, refurbish, refinance and just saving up the rent for as long as possible. Point number 3 is that you will be able to generate a salary for yourself much quicker. So a lot of people talk about financial freedom, okay? And it may not be financial freedom flipping houses, but it could be financial independence, meaning that you're not relying on an employer or a person to give you your salary. You are creating that yourself from the deals that you're doing. It's not the passive income that people talk about from renting houses, but it is a salary nevertheless. And point number 4 for why you should do flips over buy, refurb, refinance is it's much easier to work with investors. Because you're making that profit, because you're making that pot of cash at the end, it'll be easier for you to then give that and pay back your investors and give them their profit a lot sooner, a lot safer. Unless your deal's absolutely outstanding, you're running a little bit of a risk with your investors if you're doing a joint venture, or if they're investing in a buy, refurbish, refinance project that you're doing. You're going to have to make sure that the deal is absolutely incredible. Whereas with a flip, if you lose a little bit of money, that will come out of your profits, not your investors, and you don't run the risk of letting your investor down. So it's easier for working with investors. So that is why you should do flips over buy, refurbish, refinance. Now I'm going to go through why you should do buy, refurbish, refinance over flipping properties. And the first point is probably the one that a lot of people will throw at me and point in my direction when they talk about this, is in this debate, is that you are able to make more money, generate more wealth, as it were, from the capital appreciation. So when you hold an asset, when you buy a house, you do it up and you refinance it and you keep that property. Typically, people say that property increases in value, they double every 10 years. So if that was the case, you're making money just by holding the asset because it's doubling every 10 years in value, and you get to keep that capital appreciation. You get to keep the profit essentially as the value increases. So it's a much better tool for generating wealth. The second point as to why you should do buy, refurbish, refinance over flipping properties is a little bit about what I was talking about earlier, in that you will be able to generate a passive income. So let's say you buy a house, you do it up and you remortgage it and then you rent it out. You then hand that off to a letting agent or whatever, and you manage that yourself. And actually that will be able to give you basically a salary every single month. And so you will be generating money over and over and over again for as long as you hold that asset and for as long as that asset is being rented out. So you will be able to generate that passive income that flipping properties won't be able to give you. So it kind of depends what you're actually after. Are you after kind of chunks of cash, or are you after passive income? The third point with buy, refurbish, refinance is that you're able to get a faster exit, okay? And what I mean by that is, once you've done the house up, okay, if you've already agreed with a lender, a mortgage lender, they then will, as soon as you're ready to go, they'll send out a valuer and then they'll send the valuation off to the lender, and they will then be able to get a mortgage on that property, and it's done fairly fast. Whereas selling a property can be a little bit, it may take a bit of time. So it may be that you have to wait 3, 4, even maybe up to 6 months to sell a property because of issues with having a chain or just somebody messing around and not being able to actually afford the house, and then they string you along for months and months, and you realise they can't afford it, and then suddenly you have to start all over again. The property goes back on the market, and so on and so forth. There's only so much that you can control things like that with flipping, whereas with buy, refurb, refinance, you can get everything agreed so that it's all ready to go, and very, very short, a very quick turnaround once you've done the works. So I suppose the benefit of that is that if you were using investor finance, or especially if you're using something like a bridging loan, then that means that you can kind of finish all that off and get all that stuff paid back quickly, as opposed to holding on to a bridging loan where you're paying a 1% interest rate every single month, and you are having to pay a lot of interest for just holding the asset for a long amount of time whilst the property is getting ready to be sold. So it's a faster exit with buy, refurbish, refinance. And the fourth point for buy, refurbish, refinance over flipping houses is that you don't pay capital gains tax on refinancing. And something that I heard from somebody on, I think I was watching a YouTube video about this, and it got me thinking about it in a way that I hadn't really thought before, was that they will buy a house in an area that they know the property prices are going to shoot up. And rather than selling the house, what they'll do is they'll buy it, do it up, and they'll refinance it first, and then they'll wait a couple of years for the value to go up, and then they'll refinance again and take that cash as their chunk of profit. So it's like flipping a house, except you're delaying the gratification and the benefits of selling the house till later on, and you get to keep the asset. But ultimately, my final point on that is that you don't pay tax. You don't pay your capital gains tax when you refinance a property. Guys, if this information and this video is being helpful for you right now, then please make sure that you click the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss an upload. It'd be so great to have you as part of the family, and to be able to give you more information like this. It would just be so super cool and really, really awesome. So make sure that you click that subscribe button, and let's carry on with the video. Okay, now, so you might be thinking, okay, great, so I understand the pros and the cons, and I know why one is better than the other and whatever, but for my situation, for my personal situation, which one should I do? And like I said, I am currently flipping properties, and that's for a very strategic and purposeful reason. So I want to explain to you when you should use one strategy over the other, okay? So to start with, why you should flip properties over doing buy, refurbish, refinance. Point number one for that would be when you are looking to build up a pot of cash. So if you're looking at doing a lot of deals yourself and you want to build up your own pot of cash to be able to finance them yourself and not use a lender or an investor, then you want to be building up a big pot of cash, okay? And if you start with a small pot of cash, then that's not going to work and you'll run out of money very quickly. So what you're going to want to do is build up a big pot of cash. The best way to do that is to buy and sell, because you're getting those big lump sums of cash and you're building up your pot so that you can then invest more later down the line a lot faster than if you were going to do buy, refurb, refinance and wait for the profit to come in each and every month. The second position that you could be in whereby this strategy, flipping houses, would be better than buy, refurbish, refinance, is if you absolutely hate your job and you really want to get into property full time, then like I said earlier, the best solution, in my opinion, is to flip houses, because you'll be able to flip one house and say you make £30,000 profit, you could then use that as your salary and then just go again and flip maybe 2 more houses that year and use those to build up your pot of cash and reinvest those. And then the following year, again, your first flip always pays your salary. So it's a quicker way to get a salary out of property as opposed to building up this big portfolio of houses. Because, right, you could buy a house and you could sell it and make £30,000 on your first house, okay? And that'll give you a salary for a year. If you're going to buy a house and do it up and refinance it and then use the salary from the rental profits, it would take like 10 houses to get the same salary as it would from one flip. So it's a quicker way of giving yourself a salary and getting paid through property and getting out of your job. Now, when you should do buy, refurbish, refinance over flipping houses is when, for example, the first situation could be that you have a lot of money. You have a large amount of cash whereby you could do multiple projects at any one time and still not be stuck for money. In this situation, I would recommend doing buy, refurbish, refinance, because you're not limited by the amount of money. Whereas the situation I was talking about previously, you may be limited by the amount of funds you have to do a number of deals. And so what I would suggest is building up that pot of cash to then be able to do a lot. But if you've already got that pot of cash, then just get going, get started and start buying assets and holding them, buy, refurbish, refinance, and then just keep on going and keep on going. And you can do that much, much faster because you don't need to worry about building up that pot of cash because you've already got it. The second situation that you could be in when you should do buy, refurbish, refinance over flipping houses is if you love your job and you don't want to leave, but what your priority is building wealth over time. So you know that actually buying properties is probably the best thing for building wealth. But I love my job, I've got a good salary, and you're living off of your salary, and that's absolutely fine. You're happy and you actually want to stay in your job. Well, in that situation, I wouldn't say quit and do flips to get a salary. I wouldn't bother saying that. What I would say is do buy, refurbish, refinance, because you can do houses and you can do buy, refurbish, refinance on properties over and over again to build up a big portfolio, because your priority is building up wealth over getting a quick fix of leaving your job. And the third situation, I'm going to give you 3 situations when you should do buy, refurbish, refinance over flipping houses, is when your priority is passive income, okay? Because flipping houses is a very active job. It's a very active thing to be doing. It's an active business to have. Whereas if your priority is that you actually want to be able to go on holiday for 6 months and continually get paid over and over and over again, whether you are dealing with houses or not, I would recommend doing buy, refurbish, refinance, because your priority there is the rental income. Again, I do want to jump back to, if you haven't got enough money to get started on buy, refurbish, refinance projects, then your best bet, which is the situation for me, is to build up your pot of cash so that you can do a number of buy, refurbish, refinance projects at any one time. But that's it for this video. I hope it's been really helpful. Look guys, I just thought I'd piece together a few little bits to give people something to think about. This is just something that I've been thinking about recently as to why I'm doing flips and when should I start doing buy, refurbish, refinance. And I'm also getting a lot of people in the comments asking me questions about which strategy to use and why do I do flips. And so I just thought I'd bring a bit of clarity to you. But I hope it's been helpful. Make sure that you, if you have any questions, drop a comment down below. That'll be super helpful. I'm going to answer every single comment that is down there. So if you've got a question, drop them down below. Make sure that you subscribe and you click the bell notification so that you don't miss an upload. It would be so great to have you part of the family, and make sure that you like the video. Guys, thank you so much for watching this far, and I will see you in the next video.
Ooh.